Hello, this is going to be a guide to Sova on Icebox. So this guide isn't really going to cover lineups and things. It's probably not. I'm not even going to show you any like post plant lineups or lineups to kill the planter. Maybe one or two. But the idea of this guide is not to provide you with lineups or anything or that stuff. It's to basically show the general idea of how to play Sova on this map. And we'll start with defense. So the main way I play defense is I always play mid, and there's two things I'll do in mid, and this can depend on the round quite a bit. But the first thing I usually do is if I know I'm against a gun round, then when the barriers drop, I will run down here and I will start droning. The reason for this is because it's unlikely I'm going to get pushed on a buy round, and it's going to give me a lot of information because my drone can hear footsteps. So if they're starting to like push into B or push into A, I'm going to get a lot of info just by droning here because my drone will hear everything here and everything here. They'll hear a lot of footsteps if they want to go fast somewhere. If they're just like pushing into like the first parts of places, and then I'll hear a lot. If there's someone mid, I'll get maybe a tag or something. And I don't do this when there's two times that I don't do this drone. And those two times are going to be when I have ult up. I might want to get a tag and ult. Although generally on defense, I'm going to ult when I can get like guaranteed kills down different lines or if they're planting. And the other time I'm not going to use my drone when I'm standing there is if I'm on if they're on an eco, there's a chance, and they have a Viper especially, or something that can like this well, pretty much everything, but usually you can see a Viper like pre-place his smoke. If I know that they're going to be on eco, then I'll do darts like this. I'll do this dart, or I'll do just a dart bouncing off here like this, and it should land. Okay, never mind. Do a dart bouncing off like this. Yeah. And it should land in their spawn, and it will see quite a bit of their spawn, so you can see if they're playing slow, if like they have some people still in spawn or not. So it is decent info. Bear in mind that one's going to get shot very easily, especially if you do it multiple times in the game. Very easy dart to kill. It's just in the middle of like, is it basically at crosshair height as well? So they can easily shoot it. And so that's pretty much how like I would play mid most of the time. Like if they're pushing mid, I'm barely ever peeking this like this. Usually if I'm playing better, like if I feel like I'm playing really well, then I might peek this, and sometimes I'll be brought back down to earth when a chamber headshots me with his headhunter, or I get up to something. Because this angle isn't great for defense to take because the risk is too high at the start of the round. Because if you die here, then all of a sudden your teammates have to cover a lot more, and you're already if you're in a 4v5, then you've already given them the advantage early on, so you don't want to do that. So I generally never peek this. If I were to play A, this is a very common thing for other Sovas, but I personally don't think it's that valuable. So you see a lot of Sovas do this dart at the start of a round, or like a dart that lands there. It can be from anywhere in A. They can just do it, So the real like thing you have to ask yourself with this dart is, what value does it actually get me? And the only real value I can see this dart getting is if you're on a gun round and you stand here and or like maybe you've got a Guardian or something or an Odin, then you can spray through this wall and potentially get a kill. The thing is, it's a very common one, so you could do like an alternative like this, or like very low to the ground. The reason why it's low to the ground is because you can't be shot from the bottom from like people below. There has to be shot from someone up here, and they may be too late to shoot it, and therefore you can get a wall bang. Obviously this does give you info at the start of the round too, but it can be used to fool you, so I wouldn't rely on this arrow to give you information, and as a result, you don't really want to be firing it every round. You don't want to be firing it that much. It's just a very one-off arrow, in my opinion, to fire. But the really valuable arrow that you can do on A, which is actually one I do from mid as well, so if I know they're going A, my teammates come it's A, then I'm going to be running to do this arrow. And this arrow gives you actual info, especially for teammates playing on the site, because it reveals everyone like someone pushing up in it, like to these angles. So you want to save your arrow for when it's actually meaningful. And if there's like if you got like a Viper wall across here, sometimes you will, then this arrow is even more valuable because they might feel safe standing here, and they're not safe. You can also do it if you want to be even safer with this arrow. You can also do the arrow on the curve on this diagonal bit too. And what that will do is it will stop it being shot from these angles, from like these like floor angles here. Obviously they won't be revealed, but it will reveal up here as well. Bear in mind that these people can easily shoot it, but they're going to be exposed to multiple angles while doing that. But it also reveals these like all this area. If you do have a smoke to play off here, then it's a very, very valuable sort of arrow, especially because they have to look this way and up to shoot it. So it's a very awkward angle for them to shoot and then come back to aiming at the proper angles again. And that's pretty much how I play A. Like, you don't really want to be using your arrow instantly at the round either. I think on ranked, it's not the best thing to do, even though it's very, very commonly done. I think using your arrow at the start of the round, just on cooldown, is not very good. The reason being is because you can't really control your teammates. You can't really control the enemy either. You're not going for a specific strat, so it's very, very hard to get 2 arrows off in one round in a meaningful way. So I would just save your arrow most of the time. The drone tends to be the thing that you can sacrifice early on in ranked, because especially now that it's even worse than it used to be. Like using your drone on defense to get this sort of info is much more valuable than using dart. The reason being is because dart is a lot more useful on defense when they're coming out, because it allows you to get free kills, it can reveal more angles, and it can also even be used to peak angles. So you would use it to do this, and they would have to shoot it, then you can swing a smoke. So stuff like that. That can help. You don't even have to swing the smoke in some cases. Sometimes they just won't shoot it in time, and you can shoot them through the smoke. And then that's pretty much A, really. There's not really much else to say on A. Icebox, A is kind of just like an aim duels sort of playground where you'll see a lot of jets and rainers, chambers that really like to take aim duels in like certain angles, like this angle, things like this, right? So I don't think Sova's really that well suited to this site, at least on defense. He doesn't really have any tools that scream that he's good on this site. So let's go to B. B's also kind of the same story. Icebox in general is a very aim-centric map, in my opinion, and the same with Breeze as well. But Breeze and Icebox sort of share these similarities where aim duels are kind of like the forefront of the battles you're gonna have. The difference being is that on post plant it's very different that way. It's very different. So in post plant you'll see like the way to avoid these aim duels are to have post plant lineups. Less so on Icebox, to be fair, more so on Breeze. That can avoid these gunfights to create less risk for the attacking side when they're in post plants. That's kind of like how it sort of shaked out, I think. Maybe that's wrong, but it's my opinion on it anyway. So on B, I don't really play a whole lot of B. When I did used to play B, so before the Icebox changes, it used to be a lot easier, because it used to be a lot easier to play Icebox or Sova on Icebox, on B anyway, because these doorways used to align. This doorway and this doorway used to align. They used to be able to do like a double shock that could hit the bomb planter. You basically would fire it through both doorways, and it would hit this wall, and then it would bounce. Sorry, that's very noisy people outside. It would bounce off this into this, and then hit the ground. But it would obviously hit here. It would be a slightly different angle. Hit like this, and then hit this wall, and then it would bounce into the bomb. So that was like how it was played before. Nowadays you don't really have that opportunity, and I don't really have any lineups that hit this. So I don't really do too much to like stop the plant unless I have ults, in which case I'll probably play from this angle and ult, because he gets back yellow as well. Very common spot, so I'm going to be able to get probably two hits with my first ult on the planter and someone back yellow. It's usually how it goes. If I otherwise, like if I'm rotating to B, I'm gonna do this sort of double shock. So I'm gonna double bounce, and this is a very hard shock to get. It was one that I found one that I sort of made. It wasn't. It's not great. It's not very consistent. So I'd like basically do it as sort of like a gamble most of the time. I've also changed res recently as well. So I want to see this one actually. I think this res actually likes this dart more than native. So I was doing this one on native at first, and now this res actually seems to be better at it. I think. Could be wrong, but we'll see. I feel like I've done it every time. So what I'm doing here is I'm aiming at this like little glitch like black part here. There's like a little like part of like emptiness there, where the snow meets the metal bit, and I'm just aiming at the top of that in sort of like, you see this sort of like metal pane here. I'm aiming kind of in the middle of it, slightly to the right. That's kind of where I'm aiming this lineup, and it will bounce all the way over here and go there. So basically it'll hit the back of yellow, right? That's what I've got with lineups, and then usually I'll one bounce it and go on here like this. You can time it better than me. I usually time it really well, but I was just showing off the lineup. So you want to just stand here, just through the doorway. Obviously you are exposed, but usually there's a Viper wall here from the enemy. So it's not the safest one still, but you aim at like the corner of this banister and just single bounce full charge, and it'll land in the same position. So that means you can, if you time it correctly, then you'll get probably a kill if they are back yellow. There you go. So that'll probably get you a kill. It's very possible anyway. It can. And there's also like usually I don't have any like lineups for all my recon on defense here. I usually just bounce it off this, or I just put it on this back wall like this. If I know the main as well, I'll do this one, or I'll do one up here. I've realized I forgot one thing that I do. So you'll actually see me a lot on stream do these arrows. So this arrow lands on orb, and basically the important part of this is that if you ever hear the orb being taken, you'll probably get a kill. And the best part about where the orb is placed is that it's in like the only way that enemies can get through unless they all like go on this or go on this. So you are guaranteed to get some chip damage. They're pushing through. And obviously this works really well when you've just thrown this arrow. And then you can line up for this. If you hear a ping or you see a ping, then you can line up the arrows, right? And if you can see like maybe they're here or here, you know, maybe the arrow spots them here, and you can see them slightly running forward, that's a perfect time to throw this dart. So then, because you're probably going to hit them, and especially if they're going for the orb, like if you know the jet wants like the orb for their ult or chamber or something, or a Viper, then it's a good time to throw that shot. So yeah, that's gonna pretty much it on defense. We're gonna go on to attack now. We'll start off with attacking A, I think. So there's two darts I'll do when attacking game. Generally, I'll do them at the start of the round to stop people from pushing like very far, and then I'll use drone to then extend my push eventually. So what I mean by that is I'll do this sort of setup. So I'll aim my dart here and I'll do this. So it will spot quite a bit. It'll spot mainly on top of Gen. It's very good for anti-operators. So if there's anyone with an operator you know will be posted on here, then this dart will prevent that. Or if they have a teammate to shoot it, then unlucky I guess, but it is meant to stop that. It'll also detect anyone trying to come up pipes, anyone on the rope. It'll actually catch people that want to go on the rope, that do the rope trick correctly. So they'll actually get detected here if no one shoots the dart for them. So it is a really good dart for safety at the start of the round. And the other one I do is this, which also stops early pushes. It's just a slightly different variation. Bear in mind that people are a lot more ready for this one than they will be for the 410 one. But what I would do is I would do it as a mix-up for the 410 one. So say if you've done this one 2 times in a row, then you might want to start doing this one if they started shooting it now. Because that way, you know, they'll have to be, you know, ready to sort of flick to the arrow. Okay, so once I've fired those arrows, I'm not going to be taking any fights here because my agent does not really excel at that. I'm not a chamber, I'm not a jet. So I'm going to be droning from this angle. So from this angle, I'll see quite a bit. But it's not the best drone you can get because of the drone nerfs. You don't see everything. So you can also do this one, which is up here. The only risk with this one is that if you want to rise with your drone early, which you always should, you'll end up jumping, which is like a general like a very normal thing for Sovas to do when droning, then they'll jump first because it gives them more height. But that also leaves you exposed to someone on like top rafters or something. So you want to make sure like maybe you have teammates going in pretty much that second, otherwise you can get one tapped during this jump if they're particularly good mechanically. And you can see a lot of sight, right? You can see all the backside if you want to, or you can do something similar to this, where you can go on top like this and see screens, see some of backside, see some of not rafters, well yeah, rafters, and stairs. And then after that, I'll either go on the rope if I will up here and I'll sit on 410, or I'll generally go and take the orb, and I'll like help my teammate fight for backside. If I have my ult and we've already got a plant by that point, which is not always but sometimes, and I also have my ult, then I'm going to be playing for my ult, playing at the back, waiting for a tap. I also have shocks. Okay, so if you want a post plant line up, then you can do this. So you aim at this little corner, you full charge, dual bounce, and you'll land there. There you go. That's basically it for A. So let's go over to sort of mid area. So in mid, and this is generally something I'll do a lot of attack rounds now on Icebox. If they have a chamber, then I'm going to be destroying his trap in tube pretty much every round. That is wrong. By firing this, so my 2 diamonds, I'm going to put them in. I'm going to put this like little like, I don't know what it even is, like a light or something on top of the tower, like an antenna or something. I'm going to put it in between the 2 diamonds, and I'm going to 2-bar double bounce. And what I'll do is it'll actually land like basically here, right? It'll land right on top of the trap. So pretty much no matter where he puts it in this sort of circle, it will hit. So he can even put it here and it will hit. The only way that they can really dodge this is if they put it far back. And if they put it far back, then people like in this will see it. And if we have like an omen, or we have like maybe even a phoenix, something that can like get around this trap, obscure its vision, etc., like TP or even just like use an omen smoke or use a blaze. I think it's called blaze, blaze wall, whatever it's called, to get around it. Then that's a win for me, right? Because then I've forced this guy to change his trap placement to a point where it's then vulnerable to like even different sort of means. So different smokes can get rid of it, things like that. I mean, that's not like that could not happen anyway, but it just makes it easier for my team to then recognize that play. So I would always do this. Yeah, so I also do a different thing for this dart as well. I do a recon. So recon is exactly the same, just no bounces, same power as well. And what I'll do is it'll just land where the first bounce would normally land on the shock. So it'll just scan basically all of kitchen. And this is very important when, well, not very important, but it's pretty good when your teammates want to go through mid like this. It can just help them get through mid a bit safer. You can also just do a shock with no bounces too if you think that someone's playing there. And then at that point, like, I'm gonna just go in through B. Once I've fired that, if my teammate's going through like this. And the reason for sort of shocking that trap every round is that it then makes this area unsafe. If their trap is dead every round, then what's the point in him even having a trap there in the first place, right? And then he might start deciding that he's not even going to put his trap there. He might force the Sage on his team to go place the wall there instead. And that can be really, really good, right? So the other day when I was playing this, I did this 3 times to a chamber trap. And we had a lurker through kitchen twice out of those 3 rounds. And they ended up Sage walling it at the start of every round for the rest of attack, because they just didn't know what to do versus it other than put a Sage wall there. So things like this can really, really mess up the enemy team in ways that you probably didn't think, and they can mess it up. You can mess them up, right? Because now that Sage wall can't be used to like win a retake, and chamber trap is infinitely more useless. I say infinitely more useless, a lot more useless in post blank scenarios, right? It's very, very useless compared to a Sage wall. And then we're going to go to B. So on B, usually I'm just going to run forward if you're going fast, you know, as you do in comp, in ranked. I'm going to just drone this side. What I will say when I'm doing this, you'll see if you watch my stream, that I would always say that I'm not checking right as I'm droning. So then my teammates know that right isn't clear, right? Okay, so after that drone, what I'll usually do is I'll try and grab the orb, or usually, because I can't like get yellow with my drone, I will sometimes follow it up with a dart as well. No, usually not throw it like that. Usually I'll like throw it like this, so I'll build a peak and throw it like this, and then by this point, usually we'll have a smoke across, and we can probably try and get a plant. Usually I'm gonna cross to yellow, and I'll have 2 shocks. So if one of the people are planting, sometimes I'll shock this. It's usually not that good too, because when when they're planting, I want to keep my gun out, because I want to be able to kill someone that wants to try and shoot this person, right? And it kind of depends on the situation. If you have a sage that has like put up a wall, then you pretty much don't need to worry about this angle. And the odds are you're gonna have someone else watching it, so if I can get like this or something, it can actually be pretty good. You can get chip damage on someone that's just trying to like wait there, so you can follow it up like a wall bang. Maybe you'll get a kill, maybe you won't, maybe you'll get a lot of chip damage. And then post plant is kind of similar to A. I don't actually know any lineups. Actually, the one I do the most is this one, not that one. I swear I do it off this. Yeah, okay, there we go. I mean, I don't actually miss, so when I'm in the zone and in the game, like, more presently, then I don't miss this sort of stuff, so usually I will do ones like this, you'll see on stream. So, I mean, it's probably not that good. I mean, it definitely makes me more open to death, right? If I'm here with my arrow, right? Like, I can die very easy to this. So I would recommend getting lineups for this. They're by no means required, but you should definitely get lineups. Yes, that's pretty much it. So if you like the content, then please subscribe. I'm going to be doing different forms of content. The first one's going to be out on Thursday. I haven't recorded it yet, but I've got it fully planned. I know what I'm doing for that piece of content, and it's going to be a weekly recurring one as well, like the guides are going to be. And then on Sunday, I should have a different video type out. I do know around about what it is. It's just not fully flashed out yet. So yeah, that'll be on Sunday. So if you like what you see here, then please give me a subscribe. And if you don't really like this sort of content, then I would stay tuned still. Because on Thursday, on Sunday, I'm going to have different stuff out. And that might be more appealing to you. Especially if you're someone that's like in a 5... If you play as a 5 stack a lot, then especially Sunday's content is going to be very, very for you. Yeah, and that's basically it. So stay tuned. And I'll see you hopefully in my next video. So goodbye.